is poverty. This is resulting into youth being vulnerable to human trafficking, prostitution, juvenile delinquency, drug and substance abuse. But the underlying factor is, the first is poverty. Secondly, there's high unemployment rate, of which the youth are the most victims. You see that the employment conditions that are offered, they are not favorable to the young generations. The conditions and the terms. And this is also as a result of the irrelevant education system. Most of us, we are brainwashed that we go to school in order to do white-collar jobs. Our kind of education does not help us to blend practically in the modern world. And thirdly, the youth of today are exposed to technological abuse. There's so much online fraud going on around the world. The youth are the great partakers in this, and there's so much loss of fundamental moral values amongst the youth because of technology. Thank you.
Coming from Group B. Coming from Group B, the first challenges. The first challenge is economic instability, which has led to young people to engage in different vices such as prostitution, drug abuse, stealing, violence, among others. The second challenge is dropping out of school due to early pregnancies, marriages, and lack of school fees. The third challenge is drug abuse because of peer pressure and frustration. The fourth challenge is lack of parental care. Many parents do not give full support to their children, such as taking them to school, offering guidance, and also counseling. The fifth challenge is abuse of the youth. Youths are only needed when there is a problem. They are used as means to the end, such that when they have a problem, the elders do not help young people. We can take, for example, in parishes, you find that many of the times the youth are needed when there is a kind of development at the parish. But if they have a land somewhere, they cannot be given a chance maybe to support them for transport and the like. The sixth challenge is young people sometimes do not listen to the advice of elders or their peers, which has led them to disappointment, regression, and also frustration. Opportunities. We have observed that young people, they have access to education, though this may be challenged by many factors such as social, economical, and political factors. Another opportunity is that young people, they have freedom to express their views, even if these views may not be taken into consideration in most cases. Another one is the opportunity to join some formation. As we are here, some of us, it's because this opportunity was available to us. So in the society, there is an opportunity that young people can join formation and also become somebody in the future, as well as responsible citizens. Question number 2. Yeah, I came late.
In this question, we shall try to present in an encapsulated way the main challenges and most significant opportunities for young people in our countries today. To start with, many are the challenges that young people are facing today, and these are job opportunities. Some of the laws that are coming in nowadays are not helping young people at all. For instance, we hear in many of our countries that only those who have experience are the ones that are supposed to be offered jobs. Then the question could be, what about those who are not experienced or newly graduates? It is a challenge. Then the second one is sexual harassment in swap for job opportunities. So we want to be employed, we do it. Prostitution, drugs and substance abuse after losing past. Adults always compare their past experience with our generations. We deny to accept that the world is in constant motion. The past cannot be the future. The retirement age is not seriously considered, such that youth have no place, a kind of selfishness. An example that can be given to this is those holding paid papers are not considered in some of the departments, such as police, immigrations, and so on. Addictions to drugs and substance abuse due to peer pressure and depression. And in the part of challenges we see lastly, which is uncertainty about the future. And this is coming from the presentation of Adayos, of which saying that young people, they don't want to take risks or are afraid of making risks. Bearing in mind that we always live thinking of the future, we are growing, and if we are growing, we don't know what will come next. So in any decision that we have to make, we have to think of what will come later. This example is coming in information houses. Sometimes we are given a kind of dilemma of which you have to choose, which one are you to take. So before you take your position, you have to think first of future. What will come after I will not fulfill what I want to pursue. So coming now to the issue of most significant opportunities, we have to see that youth are given opportunities to participate in different areas. Example, technology, police, education, and so on, which allow them to contribute in building the new world for the betterment of the society and themselves in general. The second one is participation in politics. This gives self-esteem that they can contribute something in the future. And this contribution is coming in the sense that there is a way and an opportunity and a hope that we can change the policies that are set there before. So thanks for listening.
Those who are looking at how has this challenge of the youth come about, and there was a kind of speculation that probably it could be because of an increase in population that has in a way brought the number of youth becoming so many, in a sense that let alone when they graduate from universities, for instance, you find that the numbers are extraordinarily many. An example was given of Makere University, whereby graduation takes 1 week. Students graduating from Monday to Friday, more than 20,000 students, and you find that around only 30% or 20% are given jobs at the end. So the speculation began with looking basically that we must admit the fact that in African countries, population has grown, and this population needs definitely to be in a way checked. Maybe proper measures need to be put in place. So to begin with, first and foremost, as I have already mentioned, there is a problem of job opportunities. This is a general problem among our countries. You bear with me, those from Malawi, those from Uganda. And secondly, there is also a kind of gap in the sense that when one wants a job, then they look at what we call experience. Someone has just graduated and they already need an experience. Where can such a student, for instance, get an experience, for instance, of 10 years? Then we also looked at the problem of tribalism, and tribalism among our stakeholders, tribalism in our organizations, tribalism in our societies, such that some of the youth are neglected on that kind of basis. Then there is also the problem of education, whereby some of the subjects are just compulsory in the sense that one has to do them. Like for instance in Uganda, if you cannot do biology, chemistry, physics and math, then you cannot do higher education. These are subjects that the government or the state has put to be compulsory. Then there is also the problem of a negative attitude towards the youth. This has been cited in the sense that people already have a kind of understanding that the youth are naturally violent people, and as such they don't give them some of these opportunities which would have helped them. And lastly, we also looked at the problem of cultural and religious pluralism. And we alluded to the fact that in Malawi, there are many churches that are coming up with the gospel of prosperity. And the youth are always kind of pushed to that realm. And eventually, the church, if it doesn't do much, of course, we lose many of them. Then on the opportunities, they are saying that some scholarships are available, for instance, with the NGOs, and the ladies are being brought on board. And there are also some vocational skills. And lastly, the army is also taking up some.
Representing Group E, the challenges facing the youths today. Firstly, unemployment. These other groups are alluded to. Secondly, lack of access to quality education, both at primary and secondary levels. This is due to lack of teaching personnel and teaching and learning materials in most of the schools. Difficulty in accessing tertiary education due to financial constraints. The other challenge cited in the group was corruption. Corruption by those who are tasked to lead us in the nation, which makes it difficult for the youth to have access to employment and quality health and other essential services. Drug abuse. This has been attributed to weakness in the laws that regulate the operation, for instance, of bars in our countries. Anyone at any time can open bars, and And in these places, the number of people that are found there, the majority of them are the youth. And the other challenge is lack of empowerment through engagement in leadership roles. If we look at those representing us in government, you will scarcely find youth in positions, key positions. And the other challenge that has been cited is tribalism and nepotism. That those who are in employment positions, they only consider their relatives for job opportunities. And the significant opportunities that the group was able to identify, firstly was access to free education. That in most of our countries, Zambia, Malawi, Kenya, those who are in our group, there is free access to primary education, although it is not quality education. And also, the other opportunity we have as a youth is freedom of expression and political participation through voting, of course. And we also have got today easy access to information. So we can easily access information which can help us to go about our daily businesses. And then the other opportunity that we have as a youth is the age advantage. Our age allows us to engage in more creative ventures that can help us to actualize our potentials. Thank you very much.
So the second question is, what kinds and what places of group gatherings of youth, institutionalized or otherwise, have a major success within the church, and why? So I asked you to make a summary of your summary, right? 2 minutes at most, that would be your summary.
We came up with the universities as an institutionalized institute. In the universities, the youth are free to express themselves. They are exposed to situations, scenarios which challenge their faith. And through the challenges of life in the universities, the access to the chaplains and university life, the youth are formed into good Christians and members of the church. In other events like vocational gatherings, where the youth are got together to be enlightened about life and careers. And in other instances, in small Christian communities, of which the youth are the majority, these are also the institutions which are of essential benefit to the church. Thank you.
We have observed that meeting houses help to form young people to become responsible citizens in the church and also in the society. The second point is some of the groups in the church, such as YCS, youth Catholic students, also helps people or young people to meet in schools, particularly to encourage and have a share or sharing in their faith. The third point is on different gatherings such as rallies. We have observed that there are different rallies which are held on different levels to help young people to interact and explore their different roles, capabilities, and positions in the church and in the society.
Since we are asked to give a summary, I shall be brief. Places and groups, villages, schools, churches, pastoral centers, seminaries, YCS, YCW, COS, Young Pioneers, Young Encountering the Savior, Fingers of St. Thomas. Why? The question was going, why? Simply because they help to keep morality among the youth, they reduce addiction among the youth, and lastly, avoid intermarriage in the church. Thank you.
We now look at Group D, and these are the institutions that we came up with. One was John Bosco Youth Center as one of the institutions where the youth are actively involved. We also looked at young Christian workers, especially in secondary schools. We also looked at the national movement for Catholic students in universities and colleges in Malawi. This is also in Uganda, actually. We also have the UNESCO. We also have young Christian workers and Hope Initiatives. Hope Initiatives is in Uganda, apparently. Now, how have they been successful? For instance, many of them are concerned with education on morality, education on sexuality. You can see that these two aspects are, in most cases, the church also tries to stress on these two aspects, morality and sexuality. Then drug and substance abuse. Then reproductive health, for instance, for Hope Initiatives. Then training for school, for skills in vocational schools. Then interstate learning, whereby some youth can leave one country and go to another to get some kind of experience. And they have also helped to keep the youth busy. Then we also realized that some of them have not been successful as such. For instance, the Hope Initiatives, in a sense that they tend to be too secular, and at the same time they tend to promote some of the values that are not as such what the Catholic Church would go for. For instance, the use of condoms and some other issues that they may push. Thank you very much.
So the places that we identified are the schools and the church. Why? We give an example of ICI, like the activity that we are having now. That gives us an opportunity to deliberate the matters that concern the youth. And also in these institutions, sometimes activities like sports are organized, singing festivals that offer youths opportunities to discover their talents. And we identified also groups like the YCW, the Young Christian Workers, and the Young Christian Students, that also engage in activities that contribute to awareness of the youths on matters that affect them. Thank you.
If we could have the secretaries of groups, F, G, H, I, J. So the other five.
first person. The young people ask for the participatory inclusion or involvement of the activities that take a central part of the interest of their interests. For instance, having picnic and using these activities to evangelize. The youth ask of the church to use good means of conveying the message to the youth instead of being so judgmental in their approach of preaching the gospel. The youth need to be educated in their church doctrine, bearing in mind that a good number of us, the youth, are baptized at the infant stage. Hence, we lack adequate knowledge of our faith. The youth ask of the church to have enough time for their ministers to prepare homilies instead of downloading homilies on the internet, of which are of irrelevant meaning to the church where the homily is to be presented or proclaimed. Thank you.
This is Group 8. Many young people today ask many questions as follows. Why the church asks youth to go for sacrament of reconciliation ministered by the priest, not anyone else? The second, why formation takes 10 years or more than that? The next point, youth ask clarifications about impossibilities and realities of miracle money, speaking in tongues, and many others. Youth ask how do the church react on immoral behaviors such as fornication, abortion, and many others. Youth ask for transparency, especially for financial matters. The church, youth also ask, the church acknowledge and proclaim that the youth are witnesses of resurrection of Christ. Therefore, they ask, why? They ask, why is it that youth are not given chance to witness the resurrection of Christ through preaching as apostles? They also ask, why is it that the church is against contraceptive measures such as use of condoms, no plan, pills, and many more? And also they ask, why is it that the church is so conservative to the technological changes? Thank you very much.
The first question that we gathered was why the church demands celibacy for one to join a religious life in today's world. Why does the church honor Mary? Why is it so difficult to get help from the church, yet the church is there to serve? Why don't we have African Pope since Peter handed over his authority to the church? Why are women not ordained? Why less the movements of youths in the church today, like in parish councils? Why does the Pope take long to pay a pastoral visit in Africa? Why many apparitions in Africa are not approved by Holy See? Why is it possible for the church, or rather, is it possible for the church to lead people to God without dogmas? What is the church doing to help people with special needs, apart from constructing homes for them e.g. like making a breviary or lectionaries for them, while the church hinders youth from using contraceptives. Thank you.
The young people are seeking for clarifications with the social teaching of the church, since there are a number of issues contained in are unfamiliar with the youth. The young people, they want the church to put its working into action. Some church ministers getting involved in sexual scandals. Failure to get the meanings of the church doctrines, leading the youth to go for other alternatives, other religions. Due to our modern way of life, why is it that the church has remained rigid in matters of contraception? Church leaders asking for much about the youth background. For example, if someone wants to join a seminary, he is asked a lot of which he cannot find the information. We need to know the position of the church concerning political issues. Rigidity by those information assist young people to discover their vocations. How is it that many of the saints were the church ministers, such as priests, sisters, not lay people? Thank you very much.
Representing Group I, young people ask the church to explain her teachings about the virginity of Mary, assumption of Mary, celibacy of priests, resurrection of Jesus. Young people ask the church to explain why the Pope is called the Holy Father, and yet he's a human being. Young people ask the church to explain about the use of icons or images in a simple term. Young people ask the church to explain the ban on contraceptives and gay marriages. Young people ask the church to explain about sainthood, why it is limited to a select few. Thank you.
The lay groups and lay movements such as the youth movement, altar boys, and Cecilia or Anna or Vinila Bakua, and many other groups. There are some of the groups in which the church is involving the young one to participate in its life. The second one is the youth involvement in leadership of the parish, such as the youth movement mentioned above. Each of them has a representative in the parish council whenever the meeting for the parish are convened. Thank you very much.
This is Group H. There are many possibilities, such as number 1, formation setup. 2, young Christian students, YCS. 3, young Christian workers, YWC. And the last one is vocation. The last one is vocation groups. Thank you very much.
G had this response: youth movements, involvement in the liturgy, youth days from local level to the international level, use of social media as channels of evangelization, raise funds to help each other through projects. And these projects are like making magazines or also monthly contributions. They participate in choir, music and drama festivals which bring youth together, games which enhance mutual interaction among youths. Thank you.
Young people getting involved in liturgy, choir leaders within the parishes, organizing various conferences at deanery or diocese levels, young people joining seminaries and convents even though they are cleared afterwards, before they finish. Competitions among the youth, such as singing festivals or football matches. Leaders of the youth are incorporated with the church leaders. Social media allowing young people to participate in information delivery on air. Charitable works organized by youth leaders in parishes. Thank you.
Possibilities for participation. The existence of some groups like young Christian workers, small Christian communities, and organization of youth congresses at both
points on the family. How does the family take part in promoting the vocational discernment? First of all, we looked at the activeness and participation of the parents. This inspires the children and helps them to imitate their parents. Parents should encourage their children to join vocational groups or religious congregations. It is the responsibility of the parents to educate their children. Hence, this gives them a chance to join different congregations or go out with their careers. Organizing family activities as a way to expose children to various vocations. For example, they can organize prayers and also social activities. This is like a way to expose their children to different choices. At community level, the community instills in young people moral values. For example, during the initiations, young people are being taught on the rules, the customs, on how to live their good life morally. The community also provides the role models. It is in the community whereby people of different vocations are found, and hence this gives them a chance to have an opportunity to choose from these different role models on what they are to do. Academic institutions. On this one we combined schools and also universities. Schools provide awareness campaigns on career and vocational discernment. Moral formation, for example, rules and regulations provided by different institutions help in the formation of the lives of the youths. Kind of education acquired determines one's direction on how to take a decision in career or vocation. When we are at university level, Our faith is challenged with different ideologies, hence the possible way for the youth to take up a lifelong decision in one's profession. And at the level of school, there are also wise groups which help the young ones on how to make decisions and disseminate in their vocation. Question 2.
From Group B, on the first question, we have the first point: families are primary sources of young people's formative input. In families, youths are helped in their moral, ethical, political, and social endeavors. On the moral aspect, culturally, here in Africa, the young people, they are cultured in different ways of behaving and also way of conducting themselves. The second point, many families are open to let their youths to join formation. Point 3, communities give support to young people in their different settlements. For instance, during marriage ceremonies, many people come together to give support to the young people getting married. Point number 4, Catholic institutions provide a conducive environment for holistic formation. For instance, they provide mass talks on different issues, among others. The fifth point is that universities help also young people in different ways, mostly in shaping their future through lectures and also workshops.
Question number 2. I'm responding to the question, in what manner is our diocese, our parishes, our parish planning experiences for the pastoral vocational program for the young people. At the diocese level, there is always an annual youth vocation day. This helps the young ones to be exposed to different vocations and also different religious groups. Hence, the youth have a chance to choose which direction to take. At the parishes, there are also youth rallies organized by the parish, whereby the youths also have a chance to learn and also to make their decisions on different topics that are presented to them. And also youth centers. For example, as already mentioned Dr. Bosco yesterday, it is an institution which is offering a good chance to the young ones an opportunity to learn different things, both faith-based and also on their life, day-to-day life. Thank you.
On question number 2, we have one point which is comprehensive. Young people are helped in different parishes and dioceses through vocation clubs, vocation talks, vocation promotion programs, youth rallies, and also workshops. Thank you.
Interesting. Thanks a lot for today and B. It's quite interesting that yesterday and the day before it seems to be like you came with hammer on the dioceses and the parishes and the elders hammering from left and right as if nothing is being done. And today I'm quite surprised that apparently quite a lot is being done. So anyway, thank you very much to the two groups. We shall invite the next two groups, which is group C and D, their secretaries, to come forward and encourage you to have a summary. You know, the discussion is nice, but give us a summary of what you, so that we fit within the time frame that has given to us. And who knows, if possible, there is still 5 minutes, maybe one or the other can still react to the presentations. Thank you very much. So group C and D, they are actually presenting, they have dealt with these two questions. How much time, the first question, how much time and in what manner do clergy and other formators provide for personal spiritual guidance? And the second question is, in what way can the values of a local culture be combined with Christian teaching while also giving importance to popular piety? So welcome to the two secretaries.
I'm representing Group C. In the first question, when we were discussing about the spiritual direction, we discussed that most spiritual director and the spiritual director agree the time when they can meet. We later found out that some people, they can even decide to meet their spiritual directors once in a month or after 2 weeks. Then in which manner do they share? We found out that when you meet the spiritual director, some of the spiritual directors, their approach is to question and answer, questioning and answering. Asking you different aspects of life. For example, the spiritual aspect, even somebody can even move from the spiritual aspect and then move to the academic aspect. We found out that the spiritual director can ask you, for example, when I met you last month, what we discussed, how are you progressing, and maybe he can even ask you the present time, and then later on he will ask you to tell him if you have gotten any other problem, and you share with him. Then we found out that the formators and the other clergymen, they are helping us in the spiritual guidance through formation encounters, whereby you can meet somebody like a formator and you discuss about how you have been moving on, for example, in terms of a semester or even in a month. We also found out that they help us in getting the monthly retreats. For example, in the monthly retreats, you will find that after the retreat, the teacher will call upon you to share with him personally. I think some of you have been observing that, where you meet the teacher of the retreat, and then you share personal issues. Then lastly, we found out that the clergymen or the formators, they help us in spiritual guidance through a kind of evaluation after pastoral work. Some of us, even some of you, when, for example, you're coming from the pastoral work, you meet the formator and then you do a kind of evaluation and encouraging so that you can see how to progress. Thank you.
Since I'm asked to summarize or try to do so, the first question states, how much time and what amount of rate other formators provide for personal spiritual guidance? So the time for spiritual direction is enough because mostly, even though it's programmed once per month, the door is open to the tea when he needs it. For medical encounter is done mostly once per month. In other communities is once per fortnight. Formation talk, other they say lectures talk is done 1 hour a week. Spiritual classes mostly is also 1 hour a week, and the catechetical classes is also 1 hour a week. Thank you.
Last question, where we are answering, in what ways can the values of a local culture be combined with the Christian teaching, while also giving importance to popular piety? So we found out that language as a part of the value of the culture should be taken in mind in the Christian teachings, so that the people who at the same time are embracing the faith should understand the teachings in their local language. For example, found out that, for example, on the Sundays when we are having those called ladies that even men that come in our chapel, and for example, if someone gives a homily in English, and then the old people will not get what they have, what the homily is all about, and then after he moves for Holy Communion when he have not understood, we see it is a strong point which needs to be tackled, so that even the language should be tackled or talked on the Christian teachings. Then we found out that some of the cultural teachings, like the myth, they need to be integrated in the Christian teaching, so that people can understand God very well, not just bringing to explain to them the God that is not easy for them to get. But when you put it in the kind of the cultural teachings, in the like myth or even cultural stories, they are likely to understand God very well than when you bring the God that is from above that cannot be applied in their culture. Then we found out that even the cultural dances and drumming and even songs, they need even to be integrated in the culture, in the Christian teaching, so that people, they can participate very well. For example, when people they are dancing in their own culture, and they are dancing, even taking place, when the dance is taking place in the liturgy, they are likely to participate very well. But even we have even to be mindful of even the types of dances, not all the cultural dances they need to be put into the Christian teaching. Then lastly, we found out that some of the cultural teachings, for example, respect for human life, need also to be integrated with that of the Christian teaching, so that there should be a kind of harmony between the culture and the Christian teaching. For example, all of us were aware, maybe most of us were aware that in our cultures, the early pregnancies, they cannot be allowed. So we need also as well to integrate them with the Christian teaching. Thank you very much for this presentation.
For us, in this last question, we have 5 points. The first one is cooperation. Mostly in villages, they do cooperate during wedding or funeral. So this also is encouraged in our Christian teachings to cooperate. Another is hospitality. This is taking care of visitors and strangers, as what Abraham did. The Bible says he will come to the 3 strangers. If you read the Bible, you know it. Another one. Another point is counseling in initiation ceremonies is equivalent to spiritual direction and informative encounter. Another point is generosity. This is sharing what one has with others as one among the 3 pillars of Lent. Many cultures prohibit incest. This is prohibiting one to marry his sister. So this could be a value for the church to make reference to it in an appropriate manner. Lastly, many African cultures value life such that threats to life like abortion, murder, and suicide are condemned. This could be the value for the church since it also safeguards life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much to these two groups, C and D, who have dealt with these two questions. We basically see that there is also attendance, and we see how it's a struggle, the whole issue of inculturation. It's an ongoing process, a never-ending process. You know, many local places, dioceses and parishes are trying their best to inculturate. Even it has been spoken about, even these subcultures of the youth have to be taken into consideration when it comes to evangelization. Due to time, we move now to group E and F. Groups E and F, this group have dealt with these following two questions. The first question was, what personal guidance is offered in seminaries and formation houses? What personal guidance?
The information which they give in spiritual direction, it helps to improve in prayer life, deepening the faith and discernment. And the formative encounter helps in one's self-discovery, for instance, in academic, community life, emotional development. Thank you.
On question number 1, here we have one-to-one encounter, which is informative encounter. In other ways, personal meetings. And we have spiritual direction and confession.
Question 2 reads, what plans and structures in pastoral vocational care for young people best respond to their needs? So, plans, we said, first is to identify the needs of the youth. And for instance, this can be activities like youth rallies, career guidance talks. Those can be the plans. And in structures, we discuss to put well-known organogram, for example, pastoral coordinators from the ones who are offering and the ones who are receiving. Organogram. Thank you.
The plans and structures in pastoral vocational care for young people best respond to their needs are as follows. Vocational and career talk in schools, come and see workshops, organizing sports with youth, using different media to talk of different vocations like radio, televisions, publishing books, and pamphlets of vocations. Vocation team organized the meetings with the youth to talk about vocations. Here we talk of couple, priests, sisters, or brothers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Two groups. I have the impression that organogram has done what indecisiveness has done in the first day, wasn't it? In terms of maybe an understanding and pronunciation. So it's normally every institution should have it. What's the head, what comes underneath, and so on. So you organize it. So if you see, you can position every member in that organogram. So thank you very much for these the two groups, and thank you. What can we do without sisters? You've realized you were who in the end, spiritual direction, confession, that none of you ever thought. Thanks a lot. So I may now invite the following groups, which is group G and H, to come forward and present their findings. The first question they are going to tackle is, what does spiritual fatherhood mean in places where a person grows without a father figure? It's a bit a difficult one, but it is a question of actuality very much, and what formation is offered. And the second question is, how do you communicate to young people that they are needed to build the future of the church? Thank you. So may the two secretaries come forward for these questions.
Thank you very much. From Group G, we discussed the following. What does spiritual fatherhood mean? In places mean in places where a person grows without a father figure. So we discussed the spiritual father helps the person to overcome the psychological problems caused by the act of fatherlessness. Also, it acts as a potential father who helps to give an integral formation, i.e. spiritual and psychological. It also helps the person to be a man in terms of identity and character. Also, the spiritual directive is help to understand the role of the father by the spiritual father. The other part, what formation is offered. The spiritual father helps the person accept the situation that she or he has brought up without a father figure. Also, help him realize value of a father figure. Thank you.
Answering the same question, Group G and Group H came up with the following answers. The spiritual father, first of all, is the person who accompanies someone to grow holistically. Holistic growth entails growing spiritually, intellectually, humanly, even sexually. It stands as a signpost that leads a person to grow fully. Additionally, a spiritual father stands as the father figure to a person who has grown up with a single parent, in this case, the mother. And what kind of formation is offered? Spiritual father stands as a role model, or as a, as a parent or a father who helps someone to realize that actually he has been brought up by only the mother and is lacking something. Thank you very much.
The second question: how do you communicate to young people when they are needed to build the future of the church? Answers: getting them involved in issues, provision of facilities like schools, health centers, seminars, so as to help them realize themselves. The present ministers of the church have to be good role models. People have to concentrate much on positives, not negatives of the youth groups. Thank you.
As for Team H, we said by encouraging young people to participate in church affairs. The second point is church leaders must give young people opportunities to participate in cardinal church activities. The third point is by equipping the young people with necessary skills that will help them become good leaders. And one of the examples is formation program. And the last point, we said we should be able to tell the young people that actually they are the leaders of tomorrow. Of course, we have seen elders please, they are dying, others have retired. So we have to make an awareness that actually they are the ones to take over. And that's how we show to them that actually they are very important in the church. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for the two groups. I think the leaders will try to not to put you too much on the far future, but to make the future be short. Not that you, at 40, they will still be telling you are the leaders of tomorrow, but you will get involved today. Due to time, we're going to invite quickly the last groups, which is Group I and J, to come forward, the secretaries obviously, to present their findings. They deal with the following two questions. What formation is offered to support the engagement of young people in society and civil life for the common good? And the second question is why and how do religious gatherings by those who are non-Catholic exercise an attraction on young people? Thank you. May the two secretaries come forward to present what their teams have produced.
Just because of the time, I'll try to summarize. first question, what information is offered to support engagement of young people in society and civil life for the common good? Technical education offered helps the youth to acquire knowledge. Technical education offered by technical colleges helps the youth to acquire knowledge for the betterment of the community. The change should involve the youth in a charitable way, including access to basic educational facilities for free. Institution seminars offered by the church help the youth to acquire moral education. Youth apostles also, on the other hand, helps the youth to acquire moral knowledge on how they can live in the community. Thank you.
Question number 1. Since it's a summary, the answers are intellectual formation, more formation, technical formation, environmental conservation, and self-reliance formation. Thank you.
Question number 2. Why and how religious gatherings by those who are in instruction for young people? The first point, youth are free to express their emotions in terms of things as compared to the Catholic Church. The second point, other churches are more practical than the Catholic Church. Since our Catholic Church is more theoretical than the Church. Point number 3, some of the gatherings of the Catholic Church are conducted during the night, hence the youth get more attracted. And the last point, youth are given more chances to participate in religious issues as compared to the Catholic Church. Thank you.
The second question. The question is, why and how do religious gathering by those who are non-Catholic exercise attraction on young people? So we have come up with the following answers. Instruments used. They have advanced instruments which attract many young people. Another point is spiritual and social activities. They offer both spiritual and social activities to the youth, hence attracting many young people. E.g., they do have retreats, and sometimes they also invite well-known artists to make them happy. And another point, miracle performed, like healing and prophecy, attract many young people. Another point is they preach the gospel of prosperity, like miracle money. And also they have no Lenten system.
Throughout the year, they also have freedom of dressing, which attract many young people to join them. Another point is there is no process of baptism. Once you have joined them, they baptize you without undergoing the 3 years of Musonda. And lastly, they do not follow the religious of sacrament, like Mama Sacrament and whatsoever. Thank you.